Okay, good seeing you all again, and thanks for being here. For our football team, it's been a good spring. It feels good to wrap it up, to be quite honest with you. It gets a bit long, as I mentioned before, but our players have really bought in, had a really good winter, and the spring went good. No major injuries, which always is important to get through that. I'd also like to mention, before I get too far into the news conference, that just want to say I'm thinking about all the folks involved in that shooting in Louisville. It affects so many people in so many different ways, and we have a lot of heavy heart just thinking about them and just all the different people it affects. Not only the terrible tragedy to the folks directly injured and killed, but just all the people around it. So always supportive and thinking about them and want to help in any way we can. Getting back to football, once again, I mean, spring pretty drama free for the most part. Our guys, it's really a fundamental game, and we want to get through the spring and be better players. Individually, each player just get better. Fundamentally get better. Obviously, schemes are important, certainly with Liam coming back, and offensively getting back into that and getting back into the scheme, very important, but it's still quite a few of the basics, getting the basics down, on that side of the ball. Defensively, much further ahead with the continuity that we have, and the players. We lost quite a bit of experience, but these guys have had a bunch of experience as well. So it's about getting the next group ready, and so it's been a good spring overall.
Mark, another portal window opens this weekend. Do you anticipate more movement in coming and outcoming at this point?
I'm not sure. We have to look at that, and we meet with our players, and it's definitely a different time. I mean, I don't anticipate it, but it certainly wouldn't surprise me, with a big roster like we have, so we will see where that goes. As far as coming in, we have some room, so we'll poke around and look around a little bit.
Mark, every spring it seems that there's a guy that maybe catches your eye or surprises you. Coaches say, "Hey, did you see that guy?" Is there anybody like that this year?
Several. I think probably DeKel, is a good example of that. I think DeKel really, took it upon himself to really dial in and really push himself and try to elevate his game and be more consistent, because he's always shown flashes, and he has the ability. And I think he's been a much more reliable player. And so happy for him. I think he's really worked hard. He's one that stands out.
Mark, when we first talked to you, and when spring practice was starting, you mentioned something about wanting to, maybe you got away from some things and you wanted to get back to some things that you've done before. Do you feel like you did it in the spring? Did you accomplish what you wanted to accomplish from that standpoint?
Yeah, and that could entail. That's a pretty broad statement there, yes. yeah. You can't pin me down into a corner. Yeah. But yes, there's things. I mean, I was open about it. I told you, I just think overall mentality, whatever you want to call it, however you define that, the hunger, the way you go about your business with an attitude, with an edge, with a chip on your shoulder. This game is meant to be played that way. You can't, just roll out there and go through the motions. I'm not saying our team did that all the time. There's things we all can do better. We've all talked about those things. That's on all of us, starting with me all the way down. And that's not just lip service, that's the truth. You got to look at every, part of the organization and see where we're falling short. We've always done that in good times. We try to continue to build on the good things we're doing, and in the areas where we feel like we're doing better, address it and get better. And there's several parts of that, and I think a mentality and being physical is part of that.
You mentioned mentality, and it seems like Devin and Ray and guys have a mature professional mentality to rub off on everybody else. How nice is that to have men
Yeah.
mentally in that locker room?
Yeah, for sure. They're great additions. You know, anytime you bring people in, you know, but with the way things are now with the roster, it's changing. We're evolving. You know, and so, you know, you have to be careful of the guys that you bring in. They have to be guys like that really contribute and add to that locker room and to the mentality that you're looking for. And those two guys you mentioned right there with Devin and Ray are great addition.
With the secondary being your bailiwick as much as anything, talk about how these players perhaps elevate themselves above some of the ones you've had in the past, even though you've had some good ones in the past.
I'm not sure I'm ready to say they've elevated them past any of the players we have. We'll see. You know, I think the secondary as a group is played well. I think that speaks to Brad and our staff and what we're able to do. And I wouldn't say we got extremely exotic in the spring, but the things we do well. And so, you know, I think it's a matter of execution, you know, and that's team defense. And that's what we got to get to offensively, just being more consistent and putting everybody on the same page. I mean, obviously they're, you know, just with the change, I mean, they're going to be a bit behind. So we really have to work hard on that this summer, you know, with the offense. And once again, I say it a lot, but it's true. I mean, you know, the routine needs to be routine. I mean, if, you know, you have a pitch and a catch for 5 yards, it's got to be 5 yards or more, not 0. You know, 2nd and 10 is much different than 2nd and 5. And those are some of the things we just got to be a little bit more consistent on.
Like I asked you on the first day about the kicking, and you said it wouldn't be fixed overnight, but what progress did you see from that unit, procedurally and consistency?
I really like just, you know, we're emphasizing it just not only with the snap and the kick, and, you know, the accountability, just really pushing that. We've worked it a touch more each and every day. And, you know, with special teams in general, I like the attitude that we have and the leadership that we have. And we worked hard at it, and we'll continue to improve.
I don't know if that chance has been here a while and really hasn't had his opportunity in a couple of years with how good Matt was for the most part. How has he matured the last couple of years?
You know, he's looking forward to his opportunity, I think, to get out there and hit it. You could see days where he was out there and extremely confident and comfortable. And, you know, he's got good pop on the ball. He always has. And you can see that with his kickoffs and just his leg strength. He's been more consistent. We're working on timing. We're working on getting quicker, getting the ball up. And there's been days when he's been very good. And then there's other days where that inconsistency pops up.
Mark, you've had a full spring now with Eli moving back to guard and Jagger at center. Are you happy with the results, and will that move forward?
Yeah, that'll move forward. We will always have flexibility within that, but we like the way Jagger progressed. It's not easy, and he really took that on and became more consistent with the snaps, and then you know what to do after that. You know, he's got some pretty big boys across from him, so. You know, he's got a tough job, but he's really adapted well.
Brad talked a lot during the spring about putting the defense in uncomfortable situations, trying to get them out of their comfort zone and really challenge them. Why did you guys think that was important, and how did you think they did overall with that?
Well, I think if you look at even last year and you know, you say, you know, we had really good, you know, older guys, we had experience, and you know, you just can't ever fall into a comfort zone. You know what I mean? It's just to the point I just made a bit ago about being on edge and, you know, and doing that. And I think that's part of it. You know, just thinking that you know, you know what to do, or you know how to execute it, and it's still not successful if you don't play well. There's no magical calls. You know, the players have to play relentless and beat people and win one-on-ones. And I think, you know, at times we weren't real pleased with that, you know, a year ago. And so I think that kind of the same point I was making about that edge and mentality and effort and all those things. I think that's what he's alluding to there. And also challenging them, you know, maybe with some new things and getting further along. Like I said, I don't think we got overly exotic, but we could get further along because our guys, the structure, you know, the basics, our guys are pretty in tune to.
Mark, you go back to the beginning of spring. Deion Walker's got a lot of hype. Talk about Keyshawn Silver adding him, that size and length, and just the numbers you have with defensive line. Just how good do you feel about that position after, I don't know, 13, 14, 15 practices?
I feel pretty good. I mean, better than we've been. You know, I feel. You know, overall, I just feel like we have the depth. Some guys have matured. You know, it's a good spot for us right now. Get a couple guys back off injury, and you know, you got to be really good up front. And so I feel like we've helped ourselves there.
Zion Childress is a guy we've heard quite a bit about this spring, taking a step in leadership on field. What do you just like about his game and the way he's progressed?
Yeah, he's always, you know, when he came here, he had a bunch of snaps already, and he still had time, you know, and just that experience. And you've heard me through the years, especially at safety or nickel or inside, and you know, things move fast, and there's a lot of, you just got to have some instincts. It's not just about raw ability, and he has those instincts. You know, he's very conscientious. If he wants to be great, he works hard at it. He has really good instincts.
You mentioned the leadership and the mentality, and so you have to feel good about this team as they have, like, where they have to take care of business on their own without the coaches.
Well, they're going to have to, as I mentioned a couple of weeks ago when I was all pissed off. I mean, they better continue to show that and be leaders and do those things and to be determined.
Marcus, Devin surprised you in any way?
No, I mean, I knew. I mean, just watch the film and you could see his ability and how good he is. You know, so you know, coming in here, I mean, I've been impressed. I'm not surprised. Just, you know, we have to be better around him. You know, we got to continue to really work hard and put things together and give him the protection, get back to having a balanced, you know, attack and be able to run the ball effectively and keep people off balance.
Mark, building off that, what do you think are realistic expectations for Devin and the offense this fall?
I mean, you know, I'm not going to give you what you want, some statistics.
I'll take it if you
yeah, nice try. I mean, you know, we're going to improve. We're going to improve. I feel very confident that we'll improve. As I mentioned, we own the areas where we fell short, and that's on a lot of people. And I feel like, you know, we are addressing those things. And Devin has been a great addition. It was a spot where we needed somebody right now with that kind of experience. And we need to improve at offensive line around him. We've talked about that. We need to be more balanced. You know, I think the comfort level with Liam and due to the fact that he's been here a few years ago and was effective, I think we can build on that. And that doesn't mean it's all going to be the same. You know, this game evolves and grows and changes daily. And so it won't be exactly the same.
Yesterday, in talking about Schlarman's impact, you seemed to intentionally include Eddie Grant and the impact he had during that run too. Can you elaborate on just the impact he's still making today in his current role?
Yeah. Well, yesterday, because we were talking about how, you know, what a great job John did, and he did, and John was the best, and how much we miss him, and appreciate the coverage from yesterday and the support, you guys being out there. John was one of a kind and a tremendous coach, but even better person. We all know that, and it's so true. But as we were just kind of talking about the evolving, you know, in the things early on where we did poorly, and it ended up becoming a strength. And they did do that together, but you know, and I was thinking about that as I was talking about John and I mentioned Eddie because he was, you know, obviously the offense coordinator and did such a good job that those guys would sit up there for hours and hours and hours being creative on how to run the ball, you know, and everybody loves that. If you did that offensively, you'd be called a genius. If you did it throwing it, you know what I mean? And so you know, they really did a good job together. And now with Eddie's role, he loves his role now. He loves, Eddie wants to just stay under the radar. He doesn't need or want me to mention his name at one bit, but I can promise you the impact that he has and the way he helps me is, I can't even, I'm not sure how it would function to be honest with you right now without him, with so much that's going on. And the experience that he has, the connections that he has in town, the people, and the friendships, and the way he helps me in this changing world is irreplaceable right now.
You all promoted CJ before spring practice. Obviously, Drake and Courtney are on the staff. How does it help having those guys as kind of a bridge between that era when you were building this and now?
I think it's really important, and it's also important, individually, because not everybody, can make that change, and separate, because sometimes at a young age, they don't have the confidence to separate between the players and coaching, and these guys do. And they have to. That doesn't mean they can't have relationships and personal relationships with the players. I want that, and that's important. But they also are very professional in the way they go about their work, and they're all going to be very good coaches. And it's fun also. Like yesterday, you were at the golf tournament, and you go out and they're playing with their guys they played with, and some of the ex-pros, and just seeing them all back here, and it's a lot of fun.
Everybody good?